measure or the lack of measure of calibration, grading, that all of the moments of if one wanted to celebrate the moments of the irrational or kind of as a critical figure in photography, they're produced through, the orderly functioning of apparatuses and their calibration of the world into whatever kind of image form. So that they're always interwoven, which is why I find it very difficult to think about, but and without wanting to kind of reduce the differences or the critical potentials of the different presentations, they must kind of demonstrate, in a sense, this kind of tension that thinking of something like photography through these kind of categories and expectations and desires that we're looking at today, they kind of demonstrate that set of relations. Okay, so how do we kind of want to proceed? There's kind of general questions or specific questions relating to the different papers. Maybe I could invite, rather than taking the question time for myself, to ask the panelists if they would like to respond to each other's papers or to the kind of general kind of character of the roundtable so far. Well, if everybody's still kind of...
Peter has his...
Peter's got then please, Peter. You have to unmute.
Sorry.
Okay.
I actually have a question that is in the form of an image. And while I was thinking that I will share in a few seconds this image with you, I was also wondering if an image can be a question, or maybe I can put it in this way: can an image have a question mark? That's a question within my question. But so actually, this image that I want to show you in a few seconds, I'm in a way sending it back to Tomasz by way of, I guess, a thank you for your wonderful presentation about measurement, but I'm also addressing it, I guess, to Bernd, in order to echo your fascinating suggestions about solar economy. And so my question is in the photograph taken by Perseverance, this one, right? That Tomasz, you showed us. And so here is what I thought. What strikes me most in this image is maybe the shadow cast by Perseverance itself, right? And so I have a sort of twofold question for all of us, but maybe, as I said, more for Tomasz and Bernd. On the one hand, what does it mean, or what could it mean to measure a shadow? And specifically in this case, I am really struck by the fact that the shadow is much longer, and you can see, even if you don't see Perseverance, you can actually see that the shadow is longer than the object that casts it. And so what's the measure of this? And the other aspect of my question, which is probably related, if we think of this of measurement in terms of economy, or in terms of debt, as Bernd suggested, right? Measurement is owed in a way. Well, isn't there here with the shadow that we see something that has to do with debt and debt to light, debt to the sun, maybe, that is this gift that creates shadows?
I'm still digesting that question mark of a picture. I don't know, Tomasz, if you want to respond first.
Go ahead, I can, but I mean, let's say, well, first I was reminded of a wonderful essay by Jeffrey Batchen of photographs with shadows of photographers, and what that actually means of if you that it's often understood as a mistake, one makes, as the photographer should not be really present at the picture, but there are specific moments when we intentionally do that. And in more technical terms, in this case, speaking of the shadow of the rover there, of course, I would say that photographs basically give us no sense of scale in themselves, right? But the shadow is exactly such a scale present there, because we know the parameters of the rover. So suddenly, thanks to the shadow, that image and what we can see in it becomes scalable. But it would not be scalable in that image in itself, right? Only if the rover or the photographer somehow is present there, which I mean, when Bernd mentioned or displayed that quote from Oliver Wendell Holmes on the relationship between the stereoscopical collections and the photography as this comprehensive system of exchanges, I believe this paragraph is followed by him stressing, well, to do that, we first need to standardize photography. We need to have some kind of sense of what we need to know. What was the distance? What is the focal length of the lens, etc. The image in itself does not give us any kind of information, and we cannot use it as to measure anything. We need to have this extra information, which was here could be provided by the shadow, or it can be provided by some sort of metadata. So this is kind of the point that I'm interested in. That yes, we can talk about photography as some universal system of co-measuring and exchange, but the photography itself needs to be calibrated and scaled somehow first,
But what it actually, just as you say that, this word calibration stands out to me, and it's what Andy mentioned, also just introducing this discussion part here. I wonder whether, I suppose it's a question back to both Peter and you, Tomasz, but I wonder whether the shadow also operates as the kind of cultural technique, a kind of a scientific apparatus, in a sense, in that it makes visible the calibration of the image, the apparatus that produces the image, and therefore the cultural calibration that enables the measuring to happen in the first place, or that dictates, in a sense, the intention behind that measurement. I think there's a lot more in this notion of calibration, I suppose, that allows us to unpack the regimes at play, if you like, behind the instruments. What's the forces at play in those instruments.
Is that a natural seeming point to move on to one of the next questions that we may have? I'm sure it'll probably circle back around to similar issues. I think Anka was the next to have flagged a question.
I was trying to to bring the different talks in